Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother***ing ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Chris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Floigan brother Dan Ryan.
Oh, that just sounds so exactly like what we were just talking about.
Doesn't it just?
It
With
does.
the bulk of July behind us, we are... bulk behind us. We arrive at the inevitable 10, 20, 30, 40, where we talk about notable releases from July 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago. Web sling your way to the arcade because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now.
I will, just shooting webs left and right.
Hi, everyone.
That was so funny.
This is episode 369. It's the week of July 30th, 2021, and just assume that we're laughing about something tawdry and inappropriate.
Because it is.
Because it is. Because we're us.
Because it's us.
That's what we do. What's new and exciting, Dan?
Oh, man. I don't know. Stuff?
The Olympics. You've been watching the Olympics, right?
I have. I am such an Olympics whore.
What have you been watching so far?
We watched all of the swimming.
I've watched almost all the swimming. There's a lot of swimming.
There's so much swimming, and like it's kind of a shame. Tiff and I were talking about it last night, right? Because it was really excited when Michael Phelps was there, because like he won everything, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. Which
what's it? I caught the race this morning with what's the American girl against the Australian girl?
Katie Ledecky.
Ledecky, yeah. I watched her come in second to the Australian girl.
Titmus.
Yeah,
the guy
morning.
said tit on TV a whole bunch. I was laughing like a schoolgirl.
Did they have a second race yet?
I think it was. I don't think so, because
I
that
feel like
was
it's tonight.
That was the 400. She also does the 800 and the 1500, which just seems absurd. Like, you don't need to swim that much. I am just sure of it. But yeah, no, that was really awesome, and took a look at some of the skateboarding, which was fun. We watched some of the volleyball, some of the badminton.
Have you been watching any of the softball?
Some of the softball has been really good.
Oh my god, the women's team has been so much fun to watch. And they've won. They've won every game so far.
They have,
oh my god, we missed the end of last night's because Karen and I were just too tired. Yeah, but the one before that, when they were tied, and then they tied it up, and then like I think they one girl just got a double, and that finished off the game for him. Yeah, man, they've been killing it.
No, it's been great. It's been really fun to watch. They're like just a really enjoyable team to watch. And then like the gymnastics, of course, is just fuck, man.
I mean, we only saw because they've just done the qualifiers.
The qualifiers,
right?
Yeah.
So we watched the women's qualifiers this morning, and Ellie was just enthralled and just dancing around trying to do all the moves and stuff, which was hilarious. And John was completely just like, when they were doing the floor routine and flipping like 14 feet into the air, and he's just like trying to wrap his head around how it's possible to do that. And I'm like, you figure it out, you let me know.
Dude, I'm the same way. I sit there watching that and I'm like, you're just throwing your body at the world.
I would like half the shit that Simone Biles does when if I were to do that and land, I would just immediately throw up.
Just throw up or explode. It would be one of the two.
Or a combination of the two. I don't know.
It's absurd, man. It's so crazy to watch her do that shit. And I really wish that they would come up with like cool names for the moves, like they do in like snowboarding and skateboarding, because I feel like more people would watch gymnastics if they had cool names.
Yeah, because they're all
like, a triple twist. If it was like a Flippy McTwist back, they're like, oh shit, a Flippy McTwist back or something. I don't know, man.
Karen's talking about like the layouts, and like John's like, what the hell's a layout? And it's like, oh, it's when you do that really cool like flat backflip thing. Well, that's not a cool name.
No, it's not a layout. That's super lame. A ninja twist. Like, you call something a ninja twist and people are watching. I mean, people watch anyway. Like, Simone Biles is... it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
She's unreasonable.
She really is.
And like, she was having a bad morning, and still, like, with all it was seeing her scores and stuff, and then you'd get to the end of it, and like, she got like a whole bunch of deductions, but the difficulty's so high that she's still ahead of everybody else who got perfect scores.
It's almost impossible to beat her.
Yeah, she's ridiculous, and that's kind of awesome.
It is. It's super fun. Like, one of the things I love so much about the Olympics is that I will watch fucking anyone who is excellent in their field. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's badminton. I don't care if it's cooking. I don't care if it's house cleaning. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me. Watching excellence is enthralling to me. And getting to see it here in the Olympics with, the added, like, the national aspect of it, I think, is really cool. Watching all of the countries compete against each other. The fucking crazy commentary that's there is usually super fun. Like, man, watching people perform at the highest level of their craft is just, I am just glued to the television, and it doesn't matter what it is.
I am right there with you. Like, we were watching some badminton the other night, and that shit was amazing. And that's the thing. It's one of the things I love so much about the Olympics that I don't get out of normal U.S. sports is that it doesn't have any of that negative stuff that comes with U.S. sports of like, oh, you like that team? You suck. Your team sucks, and you should feel bad about that. Like,
yeah, it
doesn't have any of that. It's just watching sports. It's watching people, like you just
competition.
Said. Competition for the sake of competition. And when they don't win, silver and bronze medals are still celebrated like crazy because that's a great achievement. And I love showing
really hard.
I love showing that to the kids in particular. Like when whenever like everyone's super excited that they got a silver medal, like, well, they didn't come in first. Like, well, because coming in first isn't all there is. It's not win or go home, which I hate that phrase. Number one, because like, do winners not get to go home? That sounds like a bad deal.
They don't. They have to stay there forever.
They stay there forever, but they won.
But they won, God damn it.
But it doesn't have that mentality. It's like, this is, you did great. So you didn't do the best. It doesn't matter. You still did great. You're still among the best in the world, and that shit's crazy.
And that is reason to celebrate.
It is. And damn if it's just not fun to watch. I've always enjoyed the Olympics. I think it's super fun, and I'm glad they're on. Although I read earlier tonight that their ratings are like super low, and it's
really?
like, well, I mean, for one, it's all happening in the middle of the night. For two,
sure, it's what, 12 hours, I think, is the difference.
Yeah, and so
like Japan is 12 hours ahead.
If you're looking to watch things and just to see who wins, then that stuff's spoiled for you by the morning. Which, I mean, obviously, just don't look it up then. But whatever.
Yeah.
But also, it's
not that hard.
This whole thing was, and this is a conversation that I should be having on our this week's episode. But I'm here and I'm juiced about it. But like,
so I'll talk about it here, fuckers.
I'll talk about it there too. I talk about shit all day long.
You know me. I'm an old rambler from around the way.
This was, and I've seen this sentiment a bunch online, and so I'm glad I'm not crazy. But so I missed the opening ceremony.
Right.
So I figured, all right, I can just hop on YouTube and check it out. And then I hopped on YouTube and I started looking for the opening ceremony, and it was nowhere to be found.
Right.
So then I looked online, and it's like, how do I rewatch the opening ceremony? How to watch the Olympics live? Okay, so what channels are the Olympics on DirecTV? I don't know. Okay.
All of them.
All of them, but which channels are they? Okay, I can't find that stuff because I don't really watch my TV all that often. It's not really my thing.
Right.
I like to stream things. And you know who has a nice shiny new streaming service is NBC.
Yeah, they do.
Now, I've poked around in it now on the NBC Sports app, which is arranged pretty decently. But honestly, this should have been a gigantic push for Peacock.
Should have been.
It should have been a very big, super well organized, here's when everything is, and here's how to rewatch anything on your schedule, because this is a streaming service. Go nuts. It should have been promoted like crazy like that, but there's stuff that's streaming like on their network stuff that they won't put on Peacock until like a couple of days later or something, because the people who run NBC are like they're just so married to this network television. They're obviously old idiots that don't realize that the future is not network television anymore. And
dude, put it like this, right? The WWE network came out when I was still living in Texas. Okay, so it was like 7 years ago, I guess, at this point. Yeah, the girls are 12. So like 6-7 years ago. And when the WWE network came out, there were some growing pains in the beginning, but it got really good. One of the things that was really awesome about the WWE network is that when a pay-per-view was happening, or a big event on a Saturday or Sunday, they started 7 or 8 o'clock. And sometimes, because life happens, you could get there and be like, oh man, I missed the first 5 minutes of it. And when you would click on the event on the WWE network, it said join live or start from the beginning. Right? That's pretty standard.
Makes sense.
That's pretty standard across the board. You could also pause it as it was streaming. Like, man, I gotta pee, but I want to watch this match. Whatever, I'm just gonna pause it. NBC bought the WWE network, and they migrated everything to Peacock. And now, a feature that was part of the WWE network for 7 years, I can no longer do on the Peacock app, on my phone, or on my TV, or on my Roku. It's just not a feature that they have ready yet. But it's coming. I can't pause a live event, and I can't restart a live event. So you know what I don't watch anymore? Live WWE events. Because trying to, if I didn't shell out the $60 for it, it's just not a part of my schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they took features away when they relaunched the network on Peacock. It doesn't have all of the content that was on WWE Network because they're editing certain parts of it. It's this bananas fucking thing. So it's no wonder that they haven't done a great job with their Olympics coverage on there either.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing that has upset me about the Olympics this year is that there is no Bob Costas.
Oh, yeah, I guess there isn't. I didn't even notice.
He was calling the Yankees Red Sox games on MLB Network this weekend, which that's a whole other thing, Yankees Red Sox. But just Yankees in general, it's a bad time to be a Yankees fan, Chris. I know you're a big fan, and I know I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it is a bad time to be a Yankees fan. Anyway, but yeah, he was calling games there, but I would personally listen to Bob Costas read the fucking phone book. I love that guy. I think he does an amazing job at everything he does, and I love when he's on Olympics coverage, but he is not there this year.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm having a hoot with it. I heard there was a whole bunch of video game music in the opening ceremony, which I still haven't gotten around to watching yet, but
it was Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts,
Chrono Trigger,
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
There was a crazy amount of stuff, sitting there watching all the countries walk in and fuck it, is that fucking Chrono Trigger? Son of a bitch, Japan. Way to be so Japan about it. I love it. Keep it up. Yeah, it's been great, man.
So what else? You been up to anything else fun?
I mean, really not. It's been Olympics, and the Puzzle and Dragons North American server announced that they were going to do their the rank resets. They do this every 6-8 months or whatever. If you rank, it's rank 250, 500, 700, 800, 900, and 1,000. there's a special roll that you get for each of those, and they have different cards that are in there that you can get. And it's like, oh, it's a fucking free Godfest exclusive, or, you know, high-level monsters, or whatever. So, cool. So I am currently at rank 995. And it went from like rank 900 to 995. It was taking me or rank 900 to 992 took 41 million experience points or so to level up, which is fine because there's one dungeon in here that every time I clear it gives me 44 million. So it's like, all right, cool. So rank 990 to like 993 was 41 million. Then 993 to 995, it all of a sudden jumped up to like 68 million. And now at rank 995 to get to rank 996, it's like 91 million. And and this shit resets tomorrow. And I have 5 levels left to grind out. So that is what I have been doing, because I started when they made this announcement last week. I started at rank 990, and it's just like, man, because I don't clear this dungeon every time I play it. It's really hard. I can clear it almost every time, but, you know, I'm human. I fuck up sometimes, and then it's a lot of stamina down the drain, and I also have a life and the Olympics. So this is really all I have been doing, because I also finished off the 4th inning program for MLB The Show. The 5th inning program comes out on Friday with a ton of new content and new challenges and bosses and all types of stuff, and which is good because they've kind of made the online not super fun. The All-Star game was a couple weeks ago, right? Uh-huh. And at the All-Star game, or at the All-Star break, the show dropped a whole bunch of cards in the game that are like all 98s and 99s. So that is all anybody uses anymore. And that's great for people that didn't get super lucky the way I did and didn't pull Mike Trout, you know, and all this other stuff. But now it's like, all right, well, everybody's just playing with the same cards now. This is like not as much fun anymore. Because it's like, I go up there and legit, I played one game today, one ranked season game, and my opponent's team was the exact same lineup that I had, including the pitcher, like including the closer, it just became this really homogenous thing because they're absolutely the best cards in the game right now, and it's going to take a little bit for them to kind of whittle those things down as they release new cards that are even better. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, then you'll start to see some more diversity. But like for right now, it's not super fun playing it that way. At least I don't think so. So, I don't know. What do I know, Chris?
I don't know. Clearly a lot about baseball.
I mean, sure. I mean, do you want to talk about why it was such a bad idea for Aaron Boone to not fucking intentionally walk the bases loaded the other night and bring in a ground ball pitcher with second and third? It's just not baseball smart, Chris. It's really annoying to watch. Because I'm a fucking schmuck, and I knew what you should do. Ah, very frustrating.
I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry.
Just if you see Aaron Boone, punch him in the face for me, please.
Got it. If I see Aaron Boone, I'll give him a swift kick in the dick.
Swift kick, squaw in the dick.
Well, let's see.
What have you been up to?
I've also been crazy busy. I actually just got even crazy busier because on Saturday afternoon, I got my review copy of Blaster Master 03. I got my review code.
Ooh,
so I'm playing nice. Blaster Master 03.
And it sucks, right?
Ahead of launch, and it's pretty exciting. No, it's really good. It's really ambitious, which is pretty cool. Remember how I was like super impressed how 02 was such an evolution of what they did in 0? Like, yeah. They continued to take those steps forward, which is really, really cool. the whole like alternate dimension, light world, dark world sort of mechanic is pretty different than it's been in any other games I've seen. It's not most of the time it hasn't turned out to be like, oh, now you have to go to the dark world and fight the evil stuff, and then you go to the light world. It's
have
just
to do
like
the exact same thing on the other side now. Blah, blah, blah.
It's just like they've half the time they're just alternate ways of getting where you want to go, and it's like, is this going to be easier or harder? I'm not sure what I should do. And or there's just a lot of switching back and forth, like, you know, these things are here, but they're not here over there. So if I can cut through this way, then switch back through a different tear, then I'm past that part, and now I can like reopen the door from the other side or something. It's been pretty cleverly done. The whole
That's awesome.
The parrying mechanic, which I never really quite got the hang of in 0-2. You know, when you're in the top view thing and you press the X button. I never quite got the hang of it. I mean, I got okay with it, but it never felt like I really knew what I was doing. It's super streamlined in 3, which is great.
That's awesome.
As is the weapon power-up system. This is really cool. So you start off with all the weapons. For the overhead segments, like you have all the different kinds of weapons, but they assigned different like colors to each one of them, and so you'll get to these areas that all these little key crystal things, you have to find out how to hit them with the specific colored weapons to open these specific colored gates.
Okay, I like that,
and it's super clever. It's very talky in the beginning. It's got some really awesome references to, I mean, if you've watched the trailers, you meet Kane Gardner and the original Metal Attacker from the Japanese version of Blaster Master Meta Fight, which is super cool.
Awesome.
And it's like, if you have no idea that that's a reference, then it's fine. You just meet this character, and it's not like it's playing on like, oh, you need to have followed the story of the original Japanese Meta Fight game. You really don't at all, because it's technically the same character, and his background is that something incredibly similar to the original Blaster Master happened, so it's really neat seeing all that lore kind of sort of tied into this new one. They gave a reason for the game to be called Blaster Master, which was really cool.
Nice.
That made me really happy. But you remember that that dick that was flying around in his ship, Leibniz?
Yeah.
All right, so the story in this game is that you're separated from Eve. Now, I'm like super early in the game too, so I've only been playing for like a day and a half. So spoilers, but still more like stuff to look forward to. So the story is you land on planet Sophia to try to get Eve fixed up from the end of Blaster Master 0-2, where she's all infected and whatnot.
Right.
But things go awry and you all get separated and captured. So you have to start by yourself, and the first person you find is Fred, and then you're looking for Eve, and you go in and do one of the overhead segments, and when you get back to your ship, Leibniz is sitting in the back seat of your car. And he's like, sup? And you want to fight to the death now? And you're like, no, what the hell's wrong with you?
No,
you
I most certainly do not.
You helped me at the end of the last game. He's like, all right, so I really want you to die, but I don't need to do it. So I'm just going to chill back here and be your support partner, but I'm not going to support you. In fact, he literally says, I will lift a finger, but only to point and laugh at you.
Nice.
And like, he's just sits in the back of your car and is a dick all the time. Anytime some story segment comes on, Jason's doing his usual, anime style, nonsensical, over dramatic, melodramatic stuff. And he's just like, you're an idiot and you're going to die. And it's going to be funny. It's this weird extra sense of humor I really didn't expect out of the game. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. He's, when he first showed up, I was like, oh, God, I don't know if I want this guy sitting in my backseat, because he was all like dark and evil and everything's awful. And now he's just a dick. And it's really funny.
That's super funny.
So I'm really loving it, but it's definitely, you have to play all three of these games. You just can't skip to 2 or 3 because they build on each other so much, not just story-wise, but like mechanics. Because unlike, say, a Metroid game where you effectively start from scratch each time,
right?
Like, you start with these abilities that they kind of teach you how to use in the previous games. And they still do a decent job of teaching you how to do them, but there's such a learning curve of the general mechanics of these games that I feel like just starting at the third one would be ridiculous. Oh, but
there's
of the cool
an expectation that you have a little bit of knowledge, which I think is like, I mean, that seems like a fair ask for something
especially
like
for something like
Blaster
this.
Master.
Yeah, it was like when EA asked people to jump into Mass Effect 3 on Wii U. Like, no.
Yeah.
Nintendo fans haven't played the first two. Why are we going to play we're not going to start with the third one. What are you, nuts?
Yeah, that
give us the
doesn't make a ton
trilogy.
of sense.
That's a different animal. No wonder Mass Effect 3 didn't sell. It'd be the same thing with these, but fortunately they're all readily available on consoles and whatnot.
And so cheap.
When Leibniz goes into your ship, he also gave your ship the homing thing that he had. You know, that super cool move where he shot those homing lasers all over the place?
Oh, yeah.
He gave your ship that ability because he was in the backseat of your car because he was trying to steal it. It's like, so I installed the super cool laser because I thought I could just steal your car, but apparently I can't do that. So I'm just going to sit here and watch you die, enjoy my death laser. It's
Nice.
so great.
Love this guy.
Yeah. I was just stuck on a part earlier today because it's definitely more complex than the other games, and I think that's another part of it is the complexity keeps they get more and more complex as you go, and this is definitely the most complex so far, but in a really, really good way. I'm super impressed with it. It's awesome, and I hope they keep making them. I know this is the end of the Zero trilogy, but I hope that doesn't mean that they're just done with the Blaster Master franchise, because, like, keep that shit going, man. This is great.
Well, I really think, like, and we talked about it a little bit before, but the sequel to Blaster Master Zero really did feel like a natural progression of the first game. Like, you could play the first one and immediately start the second one, and it felt very much like this is just the next part of it. Whereas so many other games, when you get into a sequel, and I'm thinking more specifically of like big AAA, big budget titles, there's such a disconnect. Like there's all that, there's so much story in the beginning and all these cinematics and whatnot, and I can't just jump in and play the game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I can't wait to play God of War Ragnarok. That game is going to be amazing. It's going to just, I can't imagine being let down by that game. But it's not going to feel as much of a continuation of the story as it is just a new game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas the Blaster Master games, they really did an amazing job of making it just feel like, well, now I know how to do this shit.
Yeah, they're really connected, and I love that about it. And honestly, they really do kind of work as like the original Meta Fight being like the first one, and then moving on to these sequels. Like, they kind of work like that. It works better as just 0, 1, 2, and 3 and have at it. But if you wanted to count the original Blaster Master as like a prelude to these, you really could, because the Blaster Master Zero builds so much on what that game did right to begin with. The only trouble with it is like it's archaic in terms of modern Metroidvanias, and it doesn't have a map. But
sure.
Anywho, I love it.
Some graph paper and call it a day.
Yeah, have some fun. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I'm super stoked I'm on a bit of a tight deadline here. I have like a week to finish it and get the review written. So,
well, what are we doing this shit for? Get back there and play some Blaster Master. I got levels to grind. You got a review to write. Ugh.
Yeah,
the things we do for you people.
Seriously, which is it's wonderful and also kind of a bummer, because I have really been enjoying Skyward Sword. I didn't get super far, but I did get more used to the controls. They started to make more sense to me. Remember I said there was a bit of a delay with the sword swing on the analog stick?
Yeah. I
kind of understand. I understand the delay more. It's not really a delay. It's kind of like I have no idea how to put it into words, but it makes sense to me now. And I started, like, I was able to get through the first Girahim fight easier than I did when I played it the first time. I remember being super frustrated. Not like I died, but it was like it took forever to beat that guy because I just couldn't figure out how to do what the game wanted me to do. and I got through them pretty quick with the right analog stick controls. It started to click for me really nicely. I think that game's great. I know people hate it, and I think they're nuts. I swear so much of the hate around that game has to be based on the fact that it is just cool to hate games. But
that's probably certainly part of it.
That's certainly part of it. I understand that there are some people that have issues with it, and I know not every I think I hate Majora's Mask. I don't hate the game, but I genuinely don't enjoy Majora's Mask, and it's some people's favorite game. So I get that. Everyone has different tastes, but I can at least
some of those tastes are wrong.
Indeed, I can appreciate things about Majora's Mask. I don't see how people can, at the very least, appreciate what this game is going for, because I think it's lovely. I think it's wonderful. I can't wait to get back to it. But Blaster Master. Let's see. I just saw a story that was interesting that apparently Nintendo may have silently fixed Joy-Con drift in the new Skyward Sword thingies. They say that I don't know, permanent fix is the right thing, but they say that pressing on the back of the controller, like the extra pressure, effectively fixes the drift issue. You can't keep that kind of pressure up and play on the games.
Sure.
So somebody came up with a fix on YouTube a little while back where you just open it up and you put some foam tape or something on either side of the analog stick, and apparently that just fixes the issue. Inside the new Joy-Cons, there are these 2 foam pads on either side of the analog stick.
Okay.
And they've never been in any Joy-Cons previous, so obviously it's still, we don't know if that actually does fix the problem long term, but it is a new addition that has never been in previous Joy-Cons as far as anyone knows, so that would be neat if they fixed Joy-Con drift. I'm sure they'll talk about it once they've proven that they have, but as of right now, it's just like somebody ripped open the controllers, like, hey, that looks familiar. That looks like that thing that's been going around on YouTube about how to fix Joy-Con drift. Interesting. Let's see. We finished 3D World, minus Champions Road, and the kids decided that we wanted to move on to Kirby Star Allies.
Okay.
Which I had beaten previously, and I'm wondering if I will like it more this time, but I won't get the chance to find out because after one night, Ellie didn't want to play it anymore because four-player that game is just a little bit too much chaos. So then we tried one of the Lego games that I downloaded a while ago for super cheap.
Yeah.
We booted up Lego DC Villains, and nobody liked it.
Really?
They were all like, everyone was kind of interested to get going, but nobody enjoyed playing the game at all. Like, I was willing to, I don't think the Lego games are super fun, but I was willing to just totally go with it, and I was trying to figure it out with John, and like, he just stopped. He was like, I don't like this. I can't figure it out. So we gave up on that one, and we landed on New Super Mario Bros. U tonight, which on the second level is already driving Karen completely fucking insane. I didn't really want to go with this one because that game in multiplayer is an exercise in absolute frustration if you're trying to do anything right ever. But Ellie is having a ball because she gets to tap the gamepad and make the blocks, you know?
Oh, okay.
Instead of controlling a character, she can just make blocks everywhere. And she's an agent of chaos. She was just killing us all night with blocks everywhere. And John's having fun, and I like that game. So I guess that's what we're sticking with for now. We'll see.
All right, then.
And let's see, I haven't touched Federation Force much because every time I go to bed and say, all right, let's play more Federation Force, I wind up doing literally anything else and then falling asleep.
I just can't imagine getting through that.
Yeah, and you know what? It really is built for multiplayer, and I think it's similar to like why people didn't like... I saw somebody draw this comparison online, and I agreed with it. Like, people really love hating on Triforce Heroes. And I mean, I guess if you tried to play that game single player, that makes sense, because unlike Four Swords, which is at least okay single player, it's not. Triforce Heroes is such a party game. It would be ridiculous to try to play that single player, and I think that's one of the problems I'm having with Federation Force. I think I really need to be playing this with a couple other people for it to genuinely be fun. And I'm not.
And did it? I mean, when it came out, it didn't even gain that much traction, right?
No, very much not. No, I don't think this game sold well at all.
Like, I don't remember people talking about it. I don't remember people being like, "Yeah, but I mean, if you play
there were
with
a couple
other people,
of reviews.
This game's incredible."
Yeah, I mean, even then, it's not incredible. It's like the reviews that I read were like, "This is a pretty good game, especially when you play with other people." And I don't know. It's not going to happen. John's not going to play it with me, and because he noped the fuck out of that game real quick. So I did have one other fun bit of video gaming. An old friend of mine came over, and she brought her kids, and they were running around the basement, and I haven't seen her in years. So we went down to the basement and she saw my collection and stuff, was like, this is crazy. And then I showed her the arcade cabinet. She said, well, what games are in there? I was like, I don't know, all of them.
Everything.
And she was like, do you have that game where like you chop off each other's arms and stuff? I was like, Time Killers. I don't know. Let's find out. So I poked in Time Killers, and sure as shit, there was Time Killers. So me and Valerie played Time Killers for a little while.
That game is so good.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it really isn't. It's so bad, but it's so awful, fun.
It's hilarious. It's definitely hilarious. I also played Bust-A-Move for the first time seriously. I've never really played Bust-A-Move before. I can't remember why I brought it up. It was I wanted to play. Who was here? Somebody wanted to play a puzzle game, and I was like, you know what? I want to try Puzzle Bobble out. And so I looked that up, and that was in there functioning. And I had never really put any time into Puzzle Bobble before. I always looked at it and said, yeah, I'd probably like that, and then never messed with it.
Right.
I got it real quick. I was like, yeah, no, this is great. This is I can play this more. I've been really
this is awesome.
I've been itching to play a lot more of that game, so
Nice.
I'm probably going to once I finish Blaster Master. But that arcade cabinet's the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you again.
That is honestly one of my sincere hopes with it, is that, and it's something that I hope happens for me when I build my own cabinet, is, like just discovering these games that we've never played, never had access to, whatever. And being like, oh, this game's fucking cool. I like this game, or what, whatever the fuck.
And it's all about the format, and it's similar to like when remember when I first got the Switch and we were trying to figure out like what's the deal? Why am I playing these games now on Switch? Like, why am I playing through Doom now and I never played through it on other platforms? And it's
right.
There's something about the way I'm playing it that's making me play these games. I own several different versions of Bust-A-Move on many different platforms.
Sure.
And for some reason, I've never gone through and played it. And now that it's on this arcade cabinet, I just want to play it.
It just makes more sense now.
It just feels right to me to play it there. So I'm not saying it makes a lot of sense or that it's all that smart, but it's the way my brain works, and it's working wonders for me.
That's awesome.
You know what else is awesome? I just watched somebody take a giant tortilla. They filled it up with cheesesteak, like basically everything that goes in a cheesesteak. Then they slapped some fries in there too. Then they wrapped it up like a big burrito, and now they're wrapping it in bacon. The whole burrito wrapped in bacon. So now they're searing the bacon. This has become one of my favorite parts of doing this show, is that I just have weird, tasty Facebook things going on in the background. Oh my god! And now they're cutting it in half. And that is a bacon wrapped cheesesteak burrito. I gotta make one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I've already unzipped, so I don't.
Putting the fries in there. That's what took it to the next level for me. They put the fries in there. That's fucking genius.
It's like like the fucking grease trucks at Rutgers.
Oh my god, they're making a cheese tortilla. I love that. Just lay the cheese right there on the grill. Let it flatten out, cook down. Oh boy. All right. So anyway, video games. Big fan. Big fan. Big fan of the show.
Big fan of the show. Big fan of the tortilla.
Good old video games.
Big fan of being a fat bastard. It's so hard, Chris, not to be a fat shit.
You're not wrong. I did stick with it every day last week. We played Wii Fit. Well, not every day. The one day that I went out early and did a whole shitload of yard work, I did not come back in and then do Wii Fit because I was done. I had filled the exercise ring on my watch like 3 times by the time I was done. It's like, no, I don't need to do it today. But other than that, I did it all week last week. Took the weekend off because that's the way I do. And then this morning was the test because we went out for my anniversary last night.
Yeah. That's right. I meant to say happy anniversary. And I meant to do it on the show so that I could get credit for it.
Thank you. We went out to a nice restaurant in Ocean City and got some seafood, which was tasty. And then we went and played mini golf, which I won. Woo! And it was close.
Win, Chris.
No way, man. No, we're at about the same skill level. There's no letting her win. Like she was ahead for like I was just tanking the first half of the game, and then I got incredibly lucky, like 4 hole-in-ones in a row, and
it's the best feeling in the world.
I couldn't believe I pulled it off. Like it was, I felt pretty proud of myself at the end of that one. And then we went and got ice cream and Johnson's popcorn, and that was going to be the real test. Will I get up in the morning and do Wii Fit again? And god damn it, I did.
Good
and then
for you.
I didn't eat Johnson's popcorn all day long. It was sitting there on the counter. I could have just taken back that whole goddamn thing, and I didn't. So, I am on the wagon, sir. I'm going to not be a fat bastard, or I'm going to be a slightly less fat bastard. That's the plan. A slightly less fat bastard, but...
Well, I mean, it's... Because there's a wedding coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're all going to, apparently. I guess. Whatever. And, like, I don't think that either of them really thought about the impact it was going to have on us, Chris. and that's rather selfish of them, honestly.
You're right. You're right.
Dan. I know I am. Of course I am.
They should have thought of how we're going to look at a tux.
Exactly.
We're the ones who are going to have to look at these pictures.
Yeah. And like, you guys, this is your happiest day. You're gonna have 2 fat shits squeezed into a fucking
right,
whatever. It was a bad plan on your part, guys.
I know you want to look good by comparison, but seriously, like, do you want to look that good?
You just selfish bastards.
At a certain point, the people are just going to be like, what is wrong with the people you hang out with? Instead of like, wow, Evan looks really good today. They're going to be like, wow, Evan's got a real shit choice in friends. Like, they're going to die.
Evan has some very unhealthy friends.
Shame on him.
Oh, God, what is Angie thinking? Run, girl, run! It's terrible.
Anyways, that's about all I have besides, general anger and disgust at the world of AAA video games, but that, what else?
What happened in particular?
Oh, the whole Activision thing.
What Activision thing? I literally have not been like connected to the world this week.
Oh, they're being like sued by the state of California for all sorts of like mistreatment of female employees and stuff like that. Pay inequality. One woman apparently committed suicide on a business retreat. There's regular instances of what they called cube crawls, where all the male employees would go around and like drink from cube to cube and do nasty things. And yeah, it's just awful. That's disgusting weird, stuff. The kind of stuff that the Ubisoft have been covering up for the longest time. And
yeah,
and they say they do better.
It's still weird to me, Chris, because like I'm old enough to remember when video games were for nerds and not bros.
Mm-hmm.
And like, cause that's not some nerd shit. You know what I mean? Like, it just isn't. And it's just, fuck, man. It's weird.
It's a big conversation that I will admit I'm not fully educated on because I don't pay a lot of attention to that world of video games anymore. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about my taste in games forever, and I haven't bought a AAA third-party video game in ages. They're not for me, and I'm glad they're not for me. But I don't know. I watch the Gymquisition every week, and it's usually very over the top. Is kind of like their stance on a lot of things. But this week they were just not even having it. Like, it was just kind of a straight report on the stuff that had been reported on elsewhere. And if you haven't watched it, or you're not up to date on what's been going on in the world of Activision Blizzard and how terrible they are, watch the latest episode of the Gymquisition. It's I don't know if eye-opening is the right word, but it just seems like the kind of thing that if you're the kind of person that really looks forward to the next Assassin's Creed or the next Call of Duty, I don't think a little bit more about the human cost that's going into this shit, because entertainment's great, but God, when it comes to this kind of cost, and when it's this volatile, when it's, God, what is this? The CEO of Activision, Bobby Kotick, is one of the most overpaid CEOs in any industry on the planet.
Sure.
And it's just, it pisses
and he's
me
a
off.
scumbag.
He's a complete scumbag, and what pisses me off is this is Activision. This was the first third-party company. Like, this isn't... There's not even a shred of the same company that formed out of Atari back in the old days, but like, they were formed on the whole idea that Atari wasn't giving them credit. So they made their own company where they credited everybody who made their games. They named names in their TV commercials, and that this is where that company is now. This multi-billion-dollar corporation that gives their CEOs multi-million-dollar bonuses after they lay off a couple hundred employees. It's so gross, and it continues to be gross, and it would be lovely if there were some sort of like major consequences for what's going on there. I don't know. It's all very interesting stuff. Take a look at it if you want to be angry.
It's just hard, man, because I don't know. It's just it's hard to get people to give a shit, because like nothing will ever change with any of that. Like, yeah, there'll be a report and like, all right, so these people will get a settlement or whatever, but they're still going to be shitty and toxic and all of those things because their games fucking sell.
Yeah, they're going to keep
that's all that
selling
matters.
in the millions and millions.
It's all
People
that matters.
are always going to play Call of Duty, and there's the whole thing about separating the art from the artists, and these good people who are being abused are the ones who are actually making the games. So it is a complex situation, but it still doesn't make me any less nauseous. And I don't know what I'd do if I ever found out that the Nintendo games that I like were made under horrible situations. And I'm not saying that Nintendo is like some saint of a company. They're a giant corporation. They got plenty of shitty things going on, but
they've got fucking baggage.
Yeah,
of course they do.
Just not, fortunately, not the same kind of baggage. It's not the baggage that comes at like direct human abuse costs. Like, they have other baggage, and that is to be expected, and I've made my peace with that, because at the end of the day, they don't treat their employees like shit. They're not ruled by ridiculously overpaid CEOs, which are gross. They make video games, and they love video games, and that's the big difference. Like, I don't think Bobby Kotick loves video games.
No, I don't think he does.
I don't think Andrew Wilson loves video games. I think they're just there, cashing them checks, and
they're good at what they do.
It's gross.
It is, man. It's unfortunate, and it always. I don't know. I still have this weird mindset of like, it's always shocking to me, right, to find out that people who are into the same types of things that I am into are like bad, terrible people. You know what I mean? Like, that I find that to be so weird. Like, when you find out that some, like, say a comic book creator or something is like a toxic shithead, you're like, but fucking draw comic books for a living. You're a fucking nerd. Like, what is wrong with you? What do you do? I find that, and maybe that's just a shortcoming on my part, like a failure to imagine people complexly and whatnot. It's just, I find it so shocking every single time. It's like, you make video games, man. Like, you're not supposed to be this fucking toxic male bravado bullshit whatever. Like, you're just not supposed
the whole
to be that.
frat boy mentality.
Yeah, like, I don't know, and not in a like, these are for us and you guys can't fucking play it because you're jocks, but like, not even that kind of shit. You know, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just find it surprising every single time.
Oh boy, this just popped up in my feed. An internal Blizzard post-mortem document for Warcraft 3 Reforged reportedly said, quote, "We took pre-orders when we knew the game wasn't ready yet, and the company should, quote, resist the urge to ship an unfinished product because of financial pressure."
Yes, you should.
You should. But
you should
maybe don't take
resist
pre-orders when you know the game's
urge.
not done. Anyways, let's move on to bigger and better things. We're going to take ourselves a break, and when we come back, it's going to be the 10, 20, 30, 40, where we talk about important releases from July of 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, the noble bidet. As you know, as avid fans of the show, I, Dan Ryan, am a connoisseur of butt sprayers and something of a bidet evangelical. So when I heard the fine fellows over at the Weekend Rental Podcast had finally followed my obviously correct advice regarding backside maintenance, I was thrilled beyond belief. The boys spent some time this week discussing just how much their lives have improved since welcoming bidets into said lives. But if anal cleanliness isn't what you're here for some reason, they also discussed the recent sealed Super Mario 64 insanity, and some other video game related things as well. Squirt some water up your ass and give a listen to Weekend Rental episode 104, The Gamer's Bidet Up.
It took me a while to get that pun.
That was good.
Because bid up on the
yes.
the eBay bid, but bidet
up.
It's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Well,
you know how much I love a clean asshole, Chris.
You got some serious ass clean asshole.
Thank you. Thank you for going with me on that. I did something to Tiff the other day. That doesn't sound right. There was some serious ass, clean ass problem. No.
You got some serious ass troubles.
I said something to Tiff the other day. I was like, you know the troubles I've been having with whatever. And she didn't do it, and I was like, fuck, you're not Chris. And she looked over at me, and she was like, no, I'm not. I was like, I know, but he always does a thing when I do a thing. And now I just have to do it in my head, and it's not the same.
Oh, that brings me joy. If any of you listeners have not watched Syphil and Ollie, please do.
Oh, please do. Just, man, it's weird. I don't know if it's funny anymore.
It is to me.
It is to me. I don't know if it holds up. Like, I know Monty Python holds up. I know Andy Kaufman holds up. I don't know if I would say that Syphil and Ollie is on that level of holding up.
Well,
I assume that it does.
Here's the thing.
Sock puppets.
If you ever thought that was funny, then it's just as funny as it was before. The problem is that too many people don't think it's funny. And those people are wrong.
They're so wrong. Like, there are just some things. I showed the girls the other day. This is way off track. This is like a whole other segment of the podcast. I showed the girls the other day Andy Kaufman's Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse?
And the fucking land shark from SNL, the Candygram. Because fucking land shark eating people. They were pissing themselves laughing. Because it's still fucking funny. It's just funny. Anyway.
Hey, man, I showed my kids Syphil and Ollie stuff that was, kid appropriate, and they thought it was hilarious. So
it's hysterical. There's just certain things that are just funny.
I'll tell you what, that those last episodes that they tried to do a revival on YouTube were absolutely hysterical, and I have them on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
apparently,
watch them.
My YouTube channel is just about the only place to find them.
Dude, watch them.
Watch them. Anyway,
right
next.
Turn that shit off.
Podcasts are great.
They are.
Podcasts are great, but sometimes you just want to watch a man in a vest play video games online. Or sometimes
it's not the only thing I want to watch a man
puppets.
in a vest do.
Fortunately for you, and really all of us, Dean the Vest Lord DeFalco exists to satisfy that very specific need. And it is a need.
It's a very gangly need, but a need nonetheless.
Join him every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that's what his schedule says, but I don't know if he's actually there. But join him then on Twitch for lots of joyous game playing. What game will the Vest play next? You'll have to tune in to see. Head over to twitch.tv/vest_lord for all the gaming goodness you can handle.
And while you're there, you might as well just go ahead and subscribe. That way you get notifications when that sexy bitch goes live.
You should, and take note of his fabulous gaming chair.
Is it fabulous? I need a new chair.
I haven't seen it, but there's an ad that he recorded that's going to play after these ads in our podcast, because we have a sort of a sponsorship with a gaming chair company going on right now. And Dean got a free chair out of the deal.
Well, I let them know that I need a new chair.
I was going to let them know that I need a new chair, but apparently they're only giving away one free new chair.
What a bunch of bullshit.
Seriously.
I love these guys. Finally, on an all-new SNES podcast, Greg and Joe discuss the weird and wacky puzzle game Yoshi's Cookie. Mario and Yoshi are in a cookie factory, and they have to make the cookies disappear. But not by eating them. It's a weird one, but it's still considered a classic. Find out why in the SNES podcast episode 167, Yoshi's Cookie. In my head as I read that, Chris, I want you to know that it takes everything in me to not go, finally, on an all-new SNES podcast, Greg and Joe discuss the weird and wacky puzzle game Yoshi's Vagina. Because...
Whoa.
Because
okay.
As my wife was a part of different Facebook groups for twins growing up, one of the moms on the Facebook group said that they don't call the child's genitalia a vagina by its proper name, they call it a cookie. And I found that to be so much fucking worse.
Wow.
Raising a child. Yeah.
What happens at, dessert?
I don't know.
Do you want a cookie?
Right? This is what I'm saying. So now,
what did that kid think of the Cookie Monster?
Dude, these were my arguments 7 or 8 years ago. But still to this day, I'm fucking traumatized. So I read this shit and I'm like, Yoshi's Vagina. Takes everything in me not to say it every time.
Wow.
Mario and Yoshi are in a vagina factory and they have to make the vaginas disappear. But not by eating them? It's very hard for me to get through this read, Chris.
Well, for all this great content and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
Hey, what's going on? It's the best dressed in a vest, east or the west. None can contain the vest. And let me tell you something. I got something real special here for you today. You're never even going to know about it. You've never heard of it before. I mean, you might have, but you probably never heard of it before. And that are the chairs from Ewin Racing. My God, they are comfy. I'm sitting on one right now. And I got to tell you, between the extensive back tilt, the body tilt that you can get on the chair, just the rigidity of it all, and it comes with this awesome lumbar support pillow. I could game for hours, man, and I feel great. 110% all the time. thanks to this eWin Night Series chair. And you know what? You can get one yourself too. You can head on over to eWin Racing, and when you buy one of the chairs, you can go ahead and type in the coupon code Geekade and get yourself 20% off. And you know what? It's just not the Vest Lord that's feeling eWin. It's Boggy, Games Radar. I mean, PC Gamer, IGN, guys, these are legit companies. It's not just your old boy, the Vest Lord here. Everyone's into these chairs, and you should check them out. It's definitely one of the best chairs you can get for $200 or under. And if you need something a little more spicy, a little more expensive, a little better, they got stuff for you too, man. Go ahead, check it out right now. eWin Racing, Vest Lord approved.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're back. We've returned.
We got Olympics to get to, Chris. Let's get through this. Some video games came out. They were great. Bye. I'm just kidding. Play them. Why are we doing all the work?
I wish I knew what was on tonight. I just didn't even think about it, but it's fine. We're going to watch more Olympics tomorrow. It'll be great. But yes, 10, 20, 30, 40 is a monthly segment that we do where Dan and I talk about notable releases from this month, 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago. So let's jump back to July 2011 and see what kind of good, important, cool, awesome stuff came out. Let's see. What consoles were active at this time? We're looking at PS3, 360, Wii, DS, and PSP. Seem to be the major things besides PC, but PC is kind of ever present.
Right.
And there was still some PS2 happening.
All right.
A few stragglers right at the end there. So let's see. PS3 and 360 got Earth Defense Force, Insect Armageddon.
Those games are pretty fun.
Yeah, people seem to like those.
Yeah, the EDF games are really, really good. And there's been like 9 million of them. There's been so many.
Yeah, but then there was the first one like Super Nintendo or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Been around for
I don't
a
know.
long
They're
time.
fun. They're fun like shooters and whatnot. If you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah. Let's see. PlayStation Move Ape Escape for PS3. I didn't even realize that happened.
Neither did anybody else. And that's a shame because Ape Escape was so cool.
And I bet PlayStation Move Ape Escape was really good.
I mean, it really should have been, right? Like, that really was a good application of that technology. Or it could have been. And the Move is not terrible.
It got some middling reviews. Game rankings 46%, Metacritic 43 out of 100, IGN 4 out of 10. Quote, an embarrassing shovelware shooter that feels more like a bargain bin Wii title than a first-party affair. Ooh,
ouch.
Yeah, let's not talk about that game anymore.
Ouch, babe. That's not great.
Oh, here's a game I always meant to play and never gotten around to, Ms-Splosion Man.
I never played that either. Something I always wanted to. It seemed like it was, this is weird and right up my alley.
Yeah, Splosion Man seemed like a really cool game, and I never really played that one. And then they did Miss Splosion Man. I was like, that's clever, like Miss Pac-Man. And then I never got around to playing it.
Because we're bad at our jobs, Chris.
We are.
I mean, this isn't our job, but if it was our job, we'd be terrible at it.
It's one of our jobs. It's, a job that doesn't pay.
Which makes
it pays in good feelings. Damn it.
That's true. That's true. I do love feeling good.
Me too. Call of Juarez, the Cartel. This game got a sequel?
It did.
Wow. I remember Call of Juarez happening. Oh god, there was more than one. There was Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Why was this a franchise?
I think, man, I'm trying to remember. The first Call of Juarez, I believe I liked. Like, and not ironically, but like just genuinely thought it was a pretty decent, like, cowboy shooter.
Woof, Destructor gave this game a 2.5 out of 10.
Yeah. No, I certainly never played any of the sequels because I'm legitimately sitting here trying to remember if I even liked the first one. But man, that it just feels kind of dirty calling something Call of Juarez. Like, I don't know.
No, I hear you.
Who was it developed by?
Ubisoft.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, it was published by Ubisoft. I don't know what branch developed it, but it was a Ubisoft joint.
I feel like if you don't have anybody from Juarez who, like, as part of your team or that has grown up in that culture or whatever, you probably shouldn't make that game. You know, just saying. And I'd have to guess that the French company, Ubisoft, maybe didn't.
Maybe didn't.
What do I know? The creator of the game was Powell, Pawel, with a weird fucking line through it, Selinger, and Harris Orkin, which, I gotta be honest with you, I know I don't spend a lot of time in Mexico, but those names do not sound Mexican. They could be. They very well could be. And I will take all of my bullshit back if they were. But what do I know?
Well, this next one was another game I totally forgot existed. Captain America Super Soldier. I forgot that they were still doing like movie tie-ins for the Marvel movies.
Was that still Sega?
Yeah.
That did that? Because their Iron Man game was okay.
Yeah, apparently their Iron Man and Thor games were pretty decent.
Yeah, I remember playing Thor a little bit, or like a demo for Thor, and being like, oh, this is cool. Like, I wouldn't buy this, but this is all right. And then the Captain America game was terrible from what I remember.
Looks like it got some a lot of the voice talent to show up.
They just stole lines from the movie.
Let's see. Chris Evans, Neil McDonough, Haley Atwell, Sebastian Stan, Kenneth Choi, and J.J. Field reprised their roles from the film. Wow. Huh.
Because
they don't really do this anymore, right?
No, they haven't. I mean, they switched over to the Avengers game, which is, you know, like Walmart Avengers.
Yeah.
But like, man, because I know we talked about it like last week too, and we'll get into this conversation again. But like, I really think that one might be my favorite. Like, Winter Soldier might be my favorite Marvel movie.
It's outstanding. I love the first one.
I love the first one as well, but Winter Soldier is
It's
just
super
so
good,
great.
man.
It's so good. Like, just everything they did. But I also find that the reason that I bring it up is because I find that one to be one of the more difficult movies to make into a satisfying action game.
Yeah.
Because so much of it is the intrigue with, like, Robert Redford and Gary Shandling, and the fucking Arnim Zola shit is so cool in that. But that's kind of a boring video game section.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I find, like, Civil War, there's a video game in there. You know, like, you're just beating each other up. That's fine. Winter Soldier, though, I don't know. Anyway.
Let's see. Bastion came out on Xbox Live Arcade. That was a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. I've tried it so many times and I just can't get into it.
Same here. I like the whole premise. I like the whole thing where, like, the guy's talking the whole time you're playing. I thought that was pretty neat. The narrator.
Yeah.
I just don't think the game itself is for me, but I understand why people like it. It's pretty neat.
And, like, have you played? Because then they went on. What did they do before Hades? What was the next big one they did?
Jotun. Was that them?
No,
Jotun?
No, Jotun is different. It's a different company.
Let's
Jotun
see.
is Thunder Lotus.
You're Thunder Lotus.
And your mom's a Thunder Lotus.
Oh!
I've been doing that so much. Like, Katie talks to herself when she plays video games or whenever she's doing anything. So she was up there doing something today. And she was like, "Bah, get the salt lamp, get the salt lamp." And, like, I just yell up randomly at her. I'm like, "Your mom's a salt lamp." And Tiff will be downstairs. I'm like, "Could you fucking not?" I'm like, no, it's funny every time.
Yeah, Karen likes to play that game with the kids sometimes, and then she remembers that she's their mom.
It's so funny, though. every time.
It was Bastions, then they did Transistor in 2014.
Transistor is the one I was thinking of.
Then Pyre in 2017, then Hades in 2020.
Yeah, man. I keep hearing everybody tell me that, Hades is, I mean, what, it won Game of the Year last year and all that shit. I look at it and I go, man, I don't know. I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah. I'm possibly going to give it a try someday, but doesn't seem like it's for me, but what do I know?
I mean, do they play baseball in it? Because if they don't, I'm not super interested right now. Just got to be honest.
Let's see. Was this the original release? What does classic mean? February 2011. Yeah.
For what?
Anyway, Catherine came out. Oh, this is
yeah,
probably
yeah.
thinking about Catherine full body. Yeah, this is just regular Catherine. Didn't come out at this time. All right, so never mind. That pretty much wraps up July of 2011. Not a huge month.
Not. I mean, Bastion, big deal.
Yeah, had a lasting effect, but other than that, Puyo Puyo 20th anniversary came out. Like,
great, love it, but
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out for every platform under the sun. So, it's not like July was not a huge month. Let's see if we did better back in 2001.
As an aside, I am really hoping this new Harry Potter game is great. Because none of them have been yet. And it seems like there should be a really great game in there somewhere.
I would agree.
And I like the fact that they're not focusing on the movies for this new one, like in a very KOTOR kind of way. I'm into that.
I agree. I think I think anything dealing with Harry Potter should probably start shifting away from looking at the movies at this point. Just because if they're ever gonna, make new versions of the movies,
and they're gonna,
it's inevitable. Though
of course it is.
I'm hoping more for like a Netflix series than a new set of movies, but Anyway,
it would be better as a TV show. Anyway,
yeah, July 2001. Let's see. The platforms active during this time were N64 and PlayStation were still hanging on. Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance are all things that exist, although not all those platforms got releases this month. The Dreamcast, again, still fighting with the PlayStation 2 out and about and just thoroughly demolishing it on the market.
Yeah.
Which is still sad. The Dreamcast had 2 releases this month, Outrigger and Floigan Brothers.
The problems I've been having with Floigan Brothers.
You got some serious-ass Floigan Brothers problems.
Man, I think I've played Outrigger. What is Floigan Brothers?
I remember this game showing up in my store, and I don't remember anything about it. I remember looking at this saying, I don't know about this one, guys. I don't know about this one.
I remember looking at that and going, you didn't want to sell any copies of this game, did you? Because you called it Floigan Brothers. You could have called it literally anything else.
Wow. I mean, it's like, it's a neat, it's got a nice look to it, but it's very, this looks niche at best. It's kind of a 3D platformer, maybe?
Kind of thingy?
I don't know. Like, it looks like it's almost like a point-and-click adventure, maybe. This game was never going to take on. There's no way this game was ever going to take off in any territory. Though it does seem to have a whole lot of personality.
What a bad name.
Floigan Brothers Episode 1. Oh, goodness. It was by Visual Concepts. Sega published it. What was this about? And was there an Episode 2? It was only released for the Dreamcast. The Floigan Brothers, Moigel and Hoigel.
I mean, all of that feels super racist. I gotta be honest.
It did not perform. It did not do well at all. Wow, these reviews are very bad. 3 out of 10, 1.67 out of 10.
Wow,
it's specific.
That is very specific.
That was EGM. EP Daily gave it an 8 out of 10. So a Game Informer gave it an 8.25 out of 10. So Game Pro, 4 out of 5 stars. So wow, this was kind of all over the map.
That's
X-Play
wacky,
gave
man.
it 1 star. Metacritic overall got a 64 out of 100 is what it's looking at on Metacritic. This seems like an interesting game. I should try this out someday.
That's wacky, man.
So what kind of game is this? Let's see. I'm looking at Wikipedia. Floigan Bros is presented in a fully 3D environment in which the player is able to interact with almost everything. The setting is the brothers' junkyard, and what's the point? Yeah, I have no idea what the point is.
Wow.
Floigan Brothers. Now Tricker, I think, was an online 3D shooter.
That sounds right.
Because Dreamcast was doing the Outrigger. That is not at all what I was looking for. Outrigger, Sega AM2. Oh, this was an arcade game. Never mind. What was this game like? It got pretty good reviews. God, I remember this cover. It had a pretty snazzy looking cover. Very Sega Japan, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, give me.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I remember when this came out. Dreamcast. What the heck was this game? Outrigger. Do. Oh yeah, this is very much an arcade shooter. So it's a third person. This is so Dreamcast, man. As soon as you start seeing this moving, like the characters moving like way too fast. It's got very specific, like almost Virtua Cop looking outlines of the characters. And it's
I love that though.
It is very much an arcade style, shoot all the bad guys, and then move on to the next area kind of a thing. This looks like a neat game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's see.
Not a great month for Dreamcast, though. Like,
no.
If that's what you're coming with, then you're not really trying to win, are you?
Yeah, and up against PlayStation 2 had, JRPG, Ephemeral Fantasia, Extermination came out for PS2, which I think was also released on Dreamcast not that long ago. And then the bigger ones, you had Klonoa 2 and Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec.
Yeah, once you say the words Gran Turismo, nothing else on Sony matters at that point.
Yeah, God, we sold so many copies of that game.
People are just crazy for that game. Just crazy for that game. And it's never been for me, but man, do I respect the hell out of what goes into making that game.
Yeah, a lot of work.
It is absurd.
And let's not gloss over Klonoa 2. People love the Klonoa games.
You loved the Klonoa game when you played. I mean, loved is maybe strong.
Yeah, loved is a strong word, but I was very impressed with that.
And I think you would really enjoy the PS2 one. The cel-shaded PS2 one, it looks so good.
I feel like a lot of people would. I feel like I would have really liked the Wii remake of the first one, and I kind of can't. There was something showed up, some listing at some point, like Klonoa rebooted or something like that. I hope that Namco is attempting to give Klonoa another shot, maybe on the Switch. Seems like a really good fit for that.
It does.
This just seems like one of those properties that is just inches away from taking off at any given moment.
Inches away from being a massive success.
Yeah, and I feel
it's
like
a great mechanic in the game. You know, like with the ring and the whole thing. Like, it's a great little mechanic.
It's got a great personality.
Great. The personality is great. The character is fucking adorable. I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense that Klonoa is not a huge property.
Or even or even like a very big property. I can understand it not being a huge property, but like even not being bigger than it is and I don't know, it makes sense to me just thinking about every time that game's released, there's been something pretty seriously going against it. Like PlayStation 1, there were other games of its ilk to contend with, like Crash Bandicoot. On the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance was just brimming with games of, like platformers and stuff. The PlayStation 2, when Klonoa 2 came out, Lunatea's Veil, this game here, like, looks gorgeous, but there was so many other games on the PS2 that were like this, like your Jak and Daxter. Like, this is going up against Jak and Daxter. This is going up against, well, actually not at this point, but at this point, the PlayStation 2 was all like, dark and edgy. Like, where's my grown-up stuff? Where are my grown-up games at? And this was not the kind of stuff that was selling at this point in time. This was the stuff that was getting Nintendo the side eye from pretty much everyone in the industry at this point. And then when they remade the first game on Wii and apparently did an outstanding job, but it was on the Wii and nobody was buying games for the Wii. They were buying the Wii to play Wii Sports. So every single time this game's come out, it's landed somewhere where it didn't have the best opportunities. And I think about something like a reboot of Klonoa now, similar to what happened to Metroid when they announced Dread. All of a sudden, people give a crap about Metroid. Like, so many people are ready to try this for the first time. This is probably going to be the best-selling Metroid game ever, which isn't saying like a ton, but still, that's a big deal. And I kind of feel like tossing this game on the Switch, and maybe even go full on multi-platform. But I feel like the Switch in particular, you do that right now, you might finally find a proper audience for Klonoa and take this beyond cult status for a change. Yeah,
I really, man, it's just one of those games that I really wish more people had played, because it really is quite lovely and charming and has all the qualities that you would want in a fun little platformer and whatnot. But
this is a 2D platform. I mean, we're looking at the PS2 one right now.
Yeah,
that's why this didn't sell. It's a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
Nobody buying a PlayStation 2 at that point was even remotely interested in a 2D platformer, even though I wish they would have kept making more of them during all those generations. Like, when I think back to the launch of the N64, you think of, great stuff like Super Mario 64, but then how cool was it to get Mischief Makers real early on? Like, oh, here's this weird-ass 2D platformer. Oh, isn't it great to see what can still be done with this type of gameplay? Because, everybody had written it off in favor of 3D stuff, but now we know with the indie scene, there's still tons to do in the 2D space. So, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. PlayStation 2 had a much better month than Dreamcast. I don't have anything for PlayStation, anything for N64. GameCube and Xbox weren't out yet, I don't think, right? No. We hadn't gotten to those. So we still have the Game Boy Color. Game Boy Color did real big. Game Boy Color had Dragon Warrior 3, a port of Dragon Warrior 3, and of course Pokemon Crystal.
I mean, it seems kind of silly now, I think, but the massive hysteria that was a new portable Pokemon release was, my God.
Yeah. And this was back when, we didn't have the internet for everyone to complain about how they weren't good enough yet. So
yeah,
that was fun.
No, so it was just such a huge thing.
And this was one of those third releases, right? This was Gold, Silver, and then there's Crystal. So this was one of those extra ones. It wasn't even a fully new game, and it didn't matter. It still sold insane.
Yeah.
The Game Boy Advance had only been out for a very short period of time. I think we just did the launch last month, right? Or the month before?
Yeah, something like that.
Either way, here's what I wrote down for Game Boy Advance. Pac-Man collection and a bunch of absolute shovelware.
There was a lot of shovelware on that system, man.
Yeah, they just pooped it all out right there. I wish I had gone through and looked at the rest of it, but clearly I didn't care enough about it to write anything other than that. Pac-Man collection was neat, though. There was a bunch of Pac-Man games for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it had Pac-Man arrangement on it. Is great.
Yeah, huzzah.
Pac-Man's a good game.
July 2001.
It was all right.
It's all right, yeah.
You got Pokemon and Gran Turismo. Those
companies made money.
Yeah, not for us, but man, those are some big deals.
Yeah, Nintendo and Sony made a lot of money in July of 2001, no question.
Yeah, they were doing okay.
So let's travel back to the old 1991, July of 91. This was an interesting period of time because we're still gearing up for Super NES. The Genesis had been out for just a little bit. TurboGrafx is still out there. NES is still getting a couple of releases. There's a lot going on here. So it looks like the NES got one notable release. That was the Little Mermaid from Capcom.
Which is pretty good, right?
I think so. I've never actually played it, but I heard it's pretty decent. Let's see, Little Mermaid, NES. I mean, it's Capcom Disney. They didn't really do bad stuff.
No, they really didn't. I seem to remember that being pretty good. As one of those ones of like, you didn't play this because it said Little Mermaid on it, and you really fucking should have.
I don't feel like this has the same cult status as stuff like Darkwing Duck, because this was a movie thing.
Right.
Looks cute, though. It sounds like a Capcom game, and it certainly looks like a Capcom game. It's rather nice looking. Rather nice looking NES game.
It's pretty expensive now, too, isn't it?
Oh, God, is it? You're probably right.
I think it's one of the more expensive ones.
I should just look in my Game Eye app. Game Eye app was updated.
That's good.
Big major update to it. Changed the whole front end. It looks fantastic. No, it's not crazy expensive. Loose $14.68. CIB 45.
Huh.
Yeah,
I don't know
this
what
game
I was
is
thinking.
Sought after. Pretty much any other Capcom Disney ones are more sought after than this.
Yeah.
This game doesn't look bad.
Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't heard anything bad about this game, and it certainly looks the part. Like this is Capcom doing their thing. I'm looking at the eels right now. They look fantastic. Like really, really good sprite work in this.
I mean, I gotta say, it is probably not making it to the summer series.
Probably not.
So we're probably not going to play it. But
definitely seems like the kind of game that most people overlooked, including myself, and maybe shouldn't have.
Yeah, that seems fair.
This looks neat. It's just like you're like flipping your tail at things, catching them in bubbles, and then you throw those bubbles around, and like you can also throw shells around. This is neat. I want to try this game. Anyway,
all right. Maybe it will make it to the summer series. Who the fuck knows?
Let's see. I put a question mark next to this because I'm not sure, but it is possible that Strider came out for the Sega Master System. So, I don't know. That's a pretty solid 8-bit month considering the time frame we're in here. Super Nintendo's on the way. Genesis is out there. TurboGrafx is out there. But, you know, if you're going to get one game apiece, Little Mermaid is fairly, knowledgeable property. And Strider for Master System is pretty good.
It is good. It is good. And if you were a Master System kid, like that is a damn fine game to have as you were coming there to the end of its life.
Like it's kind of slow, but boy, does this game really look. It looks a heck of a lot nicer than the NES game. And the NES game was took a lot more of its 8-bit roots in mind when it made it wasn't an arcade port, this was It was kind of like Rygar and whatnot, where they just made a new game to fit the NES, whereas this was really trying to be a port of the arcade game and did a very admirable job. It certainly doesn't sound good, but most Master System games don't, but it's a little on the slow side, but it's certainly it's got some nice visuals.
But even that, a little on the slow side doesn't hurt a game like Strider.
Not really.
There was so much going on in that game. Like, that game is pretty fucking manic.
I just got an alert that spoiled something for the Olympics for me. I should really delete this Olympics app.
You should.
I mean, I'm not going to remember this because this is like, hey, a swimmer just won a medal. Okay. I'm bad enough with names of people I know.
People I've known for years.
I can't remember shit. Anyway, let's see what was going on in the Sega Genesis in July of 1991. We got Alien Storm, Ms. Pac-Man, and Ultimate Kicks.
I mean, all right. Those are things we got.
I mean, Ms. Pac-Man on Genesis is great. Have you ever played the Genesis version of Ms. Pac-Man?
I mean, I probably have.
It's a really good version of it.
Oh, this is remarkable, but
it was actually quite remarkable because it wasn't just the arcade game. It was I'm trying to think of all the neat things they did. I remember there was like a thing that you could put on Ms. Pac-Man to make her super fast from the get-go. It did some vertical scrolling on the stages. Ms. Pac-Man Genesis. It added some like light texture to the maps. It had different maps. It was Ms. Pac-Man for Genesis is really good. I think the Super Nintendo got effectively the same version not that long after, but it was a Tengen game. And boy, you could just play this game ultra fast right from the get-go. It had a ton of great options. This was one of the best home Pac-Man games that had been released at this point. This was just the ultra
fast thing sounds like something I've done.
Yeah, it was just like you could just say, I want to put this thing on Ms. Pac-Man and go to town, and then you do, and she's got the little lines following her behind her bow, and it's like, this was a great port of Ms. Pac-Man. This was such a good game. Ultimate Kicks is really cool too. I love Kicks.
I'm not I know of it. I'm not huge into it.
My good old Sean Doyle, he introduced me to Kicks. I think it was the Game Boy version that he introduced me to at some point. And Ultimate Kicks was really neat. I didn't play enough of this because I didn't have a Genesis back in the day. But it's like,
right.
Boy, they really took the concept of Kicks and really just kind of ran with it. Made it a little bit less abstract, where it's not just a bunch of lines chasing after you, but like
it is a super abstract game.
It's very arcade, and I will always love the original one, but Ultimate Kicks it just kind of follows up on that concept in a lot of interesting ways. Like, you know, there's like all kinds of stuff happening in the background. There's like spaceships flying around that are trying to like crash into you and stuff instead of like a bunch of lines. It's a neat game. It was a really neat game. And then you had Alien Storm. What was that? Why do I know Alien Storm? This is
shot a bunch of aliens.
Oh my god! This was like a what's that? Like a target shooter.
Yeah,
but it had also a beat 'em up elements, right? So you're walking around, and then you go into a store, and then you're shooting stuff with a flamethrower from a first person perspective, like a Cabal or something.
It is a very Genesis game.
Yes, this was a very Sega Genesis game.
It was an arcade game too, right?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at arcade gameplay. So what did the Genesis version look like?
I think it looks pretty good from what I remember.
I mean, it looks like, just based on the arcade game I'm seeing, the Genesis version, the Genesis could clearly handle all this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks pretty darn similar. The levels look totally different. But yeah, no, this looks like a pretty solid game here. Oh, this looks ridiculous. He's like zapping people with guns and like laser guns and got a bazooka on his back and setting all kinds of stuff on fire. Yeah, this looks like a hoot.
Like a hoot. A hoot.
It still has that it's such a Sega game. This is such a completely Sega game. And it's like
there's just a certain aesthetic to those Sega games where it's like even people who've never played it before, you're like, man, I don't know. I bet you that's a Sega game, though.
It just has there's a certain sensibility to it, and it's the kind of stuff that always put me off on these games back in the day, because there's something about that specific Sega aesthetic that's like, it's cool, and I've learned to appreciate it, but it was never my thing back in the day.
Yeah. Like, what I always thought was kind of cool about it is that it feels very much like Golden Axe and Altered Beast and like all the, the Football Altered Beast and all of the Sega games. Like, they all feel like they take place in the same universe.
It's funny you mentioned that. It was developed by Team Shinobi, who also did Golden Axe and Altered Beast and Shinobi and Shadow Dancer.
Yeah, like it just, I don't know, it just all felt like it could have taken place in the same, the same world. And that's kind of cool.
I gotta wonder, like, this really just strikes me as the kind of thing that, why didn't this take off? Why wouldn't... Same with Altered Beast. Why didn't Sega stick with these properties and turn them into something? Like, you look at games like this... That, I think, is more
the question. Like, because the first games might have been bad, but why weren't there more?
Yeah, why not follow this up and evolve this the same way they did? Like, you look at the evolution of something like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And they definitely, especially if you just look at the Genesis games, Sega did that kind of thing that Nintendo did with their properties, is they, this is our IP and we're going to continue to evolve it. And Sega just kind of didn't do that a lot.
No,
and
they really
when they
didn't.
did, you'd get stuff like Super Fantasy Zone. Never came out in America, but that was a really cool, not amazing evolution, but it was a slight evolution of the stuff that had come before it. But if you think about stuff like Altered Beast or Alien Storm, and you just didn't get that with them, and it's kind of a bummer because I would love to see how 20 years. 30 years of evolution would have handled a game like Alien Storm. It's a game about blowing up aliens with flamethrowers and stuff.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
No. Good times.
Yeah, great.
Anyways, let's see what was going on in the TurboGrafx 16. They had a pretty decent month, all things considered. Their big one was Bonk's Revenge.
Big deal.
Solid game.
And a good game. Very fun game. Bonk games are great.
Then they had Tailspin for TurboGrafx, and I can't remember if this was a game people loved or hated.
There is something. Was that
there
one
was something
TurboGrafx
specific
CD?
with the Turbo? No, this is TG16. What the heck am I looking at here? It was NEC. It's unique from the other, like the Capcom Tailspin, because this is a platformer. You're running around as Baloo. It looks nice.
Which, always a good idea.
Yeah.
Blue is great.
If I can be a bear in a platformer, I'm gonna. He's chucking apples around, so he's not like mauling dudes. But,
he's not just mauling dudes left and right, but...
I guess that's to be expected. But boy, this is one, poor bear really going against his nature.
There's not a lot of bear platformers, are there?
No.
Just kind of in general.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks fine.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played it. It wasn't Splatterhouse, so I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Joe Boo, I'll do it myself.
It's a decent month for TurboGrafx 16. Bonk's Revenge and Tailspin.
Yeah, I mean, Bonk is really the star of the show there.
Yeah, without a question. Those Bonk games are pretty good.
They really were, man, and they were, even still, like they haven't really been ported all that far and wide.
No, I mean they were all over the Wii Virtual Console, but that was a while ago now. Like,
yeah,
where are my Bonk games at?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a property that's just kind of dead now.
Well, I mean, I guess Konami owns it, so.
Well, so there you go. That's why.
There you go. But no, it's similar to what we were just talking about. Bonk should have gotten all kinds of evolutions over the years. It should have. And we didn't really get that. That's a bummer. I think Bonk's Adventure was a very cool game, and I've never beaten it, and I've never really played the sequels, and I always meant to get around to it. They should put those games on. They should get them out there.
They should. Nobody listens to us, though, Chris. That's the fucking problem.
Seriously, we don't even listen to us.
I know. We have such good ideas, though. I mean, you remember, like, back in the day when we started the show, and, like, we would come up with, like, game ideas every fucking week? We were just surprised that nobody was making our weird-ass game ideas.
I actually don't. Did we do that?
Oh, yeah. There's a ton of free game ideas on, like, early episodes of the show from, like, I don't know. God, when did I live in Staten Island? 2015, 2016? I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
I've forgotten more about our lives than I will ever know.
Thankfully, it's all recorded. So, if we ever need alibis or whatever, it's all right there.
Well, let's move on to the handheld side of things. We had Klax was released for the Game Boy and the Game Gear. That was the only notable Game Gear release. And then you also had Punisher for Game Boy. No, which version of Klax was this?
The Game Boy Punisher game is pretty cool because it was portable Punisher. So I don't... Now, I haven't played that game in forever, but when I was a kid, I was like, this is portable Punisher. This is the coolest thing I've ever played.
The Klax game... I think, goodness gracious. So I actually just learned about this on, what was it? The Jeremy Parrish just did a thing on an episode on Klax for Game Boy. And apparently there are two distinct versions of Klax for Game Boy. and I think it's the Japanese one that looks way less impressive, but actually plays really well, as opposed to the one that was actually developed by Atari, which looks more like the arcade game, but actually isn't very playable because it looks more like the arcade game, which uses a very vertical design, and you can't really tell what patterns are on things because the Game Boy didn't have colors. So you're doing a color matching game, you got to make these different patterns, and they don't stick out as much. So I don't know which version this is, but what was Clax like on Game Gear, I wonder? Because I know it was really impressive on Lynx, because the Lynx actually allowed you to hold the thing sideways.
Right.
Which was a pretty ballsy move. I don't think I've ever played the Game Gear version. Let's see. What's the Game Gear Clax look like? It looks like a pretty straight arcade port. It looks like it handles itself pretty well. You can tell the colors. Good old Game Gear color
Clax
handheld.
is another one I never really got into.
Yeah, I've never been very good at it. I understand the premise. I just don't think it's a super fun puzzle game. I can see how one could enjoy it, but it's never really been my bag.
Yeah, Clax and Quicks, I just like, no.
Oh, Quicks is great. Quicks, Kicks, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah.
Then let's see. So Game Boy being Game Boy. What was that Punisher game like? Let me look at that one.
I mean,
Punisher
on the Game Boy.
It must be great.
I can very distinctly remember the comic book ads for it as well.
I remember the ads for this. Oh my goodness, it's
got Spider-Man on the cover. The ultimate payback.
This is just moving a cursor around a screen. This is Operation Wolf on Game Boy, basically.
No, Chris. It's the Punisher.
You don't even get to see the Punisher.
No, you get to see Spidey a couple times, I think.
Yeah, he keeps talking to you. What was that first cutscene? That was hilarious. Let's see.
Spider-Man just being in there like, all right, Frank, go murder some dudes. Because that's a very Spidey thing to do.
Oh, definitely. The drug lords destroy innocent lives. They must be punished. They must be paid back in full. All right, Mission 1, the mall.
I played the hell out of this.
Punisher, there's trouble at the mall. Drug gangs are terrorizing innocent people. See if you can put a stop to it. I'll meet you there. Okay, Spidey. What, did he just call Frank on the phone? Go to the mall. Shoot some people.
Let's go fucking do it. You murderous psychopath, you.
Meanwhile, over on the Atari Lynx...
that game's great. How dare you?
I don't know. Looks
I really like.
I cannot imagine having fun playing this game.
I was big into those types of games back in the day, though, like the Operation Wolf style games. Like I really, really like those.
I mean, I liked Cabal on NES quite a bit, but mostly because when you beat a level, they danced.
Sure. And you say you don't understand the Fortnite dances, Chris.
Right. I'm a liar.
You are.
All right, so let's see. Stun Runner came out for the Atari Lynx.
Man, I
How
don't know
the heck does this game work on the Lynx? All right, that's not a bad conversion. So Stun Runner's kind of a neat-looking arcade game, very like early 3D, like flat polygonal graphics, like Virtual Fighter almost, but it's like a futuristic kind of racer. This is a pretty solid conversion, it looks like. I wonder how it actually plays on a Lynx. But either way, this is it's super crunchy looking, like really digitized looking, because it'd have to be. You're pulling something down like that down to a Lynx level, but it's not a bad looking conversion for the Lynx. I didn't really know this one existed, and neither did I know this next one was called Scrapyard Dog. The hell is this?
I don't know. I haven't gotten down to the S's in my Atari Lynx games that I'm playing through to have an informed opinion on our fucking starter kit for the Lynx.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not there yet.
This isn't going to be you're going to be more well informed than I will, probably.
Well, yeah, you have like a responsibility with writing about stuff, and I don't. So
Wow, this game looks crazy. Like, you're this little dude, and there's platforming segments, there's flying shooting segments. It's kind of cute. It's got some nice looking visuals. This looks like a pretty cool game. I wonder if it's actually good.
Maybe it'll make it to my hidden gems. Be like, oh no, you haven't fucking played Scrapyard Dog?
That's the one.
What's wrong with you?
Get in there.
That's the one, man. How dare you not play Scrapyard Dog? I don't care that it's $100. That's my whole list.
one of the comments on the video that I was just watching was, I expected a whimsical platformer, but there you are after half an hour shooting rabbits with lasers and a flamethrower.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Sign me up. Scrapyard Dog. What an interesting game. All right. And then over in the arcades, I put question marks because they may have come out this month, but Captain America, the Avengers, and Spider-Man both theoretically came out in arcades.
Both are theoretically on your fucking arcade cabinet. I love that Captain America and the Avengers game.
That game always held I had never played it in the arcade. I had always seen it in the arcade, but always spent my quarters elsewhere. It's like, that looks neat, but I'm going to go play Ninja Turtles now.
Isn't that one is Data East, I think?
Goodness, was that Data East?
I'm pretty sure it is. Or they did the home conversion of it?
That makes some sense. Captain America, the Avengers. I always thought it's Data East. Big fat Data East logo right there in the front. Yeah. I always thought the game looked neat, but I didn't know the Avengers very well back then. I was always an X-Men guy. I didn't really know the Avengers, so like I had heard of Iron Man and Captain America. I had no idea who Vision was. And that was it, right? It was Hawkeye, Cap, Hawkeye, Vision, and Iron Man, and then Red Skull's there with a suit, and then you just kind of go around beating folks up. This wasn't nearly as impressive looking as the Ninja Turtles arcade game. I think that was another one of the things that really held me back from trying this out, was like, this didn't really look all that good.
It doesn't look as good as the Spider-Man arcade game.
No, that Spider-Man
also
arcade
has
game was
Hawkeye.
Cool. I had never even seen that when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
I don't think any of the arcades around me had this game, the Spider-Man game.
Wildwood certainly did when we were kids.
I never went to Wildwood. I always went to Ocean City, and we didn't really go to the beach much when I was a kid anyway.
You're so bougie.
My dad hated the beach, and then my friends went to Ocean City, so I would tag along with them. But I had never seen this when I was a kid. The arcades that I went to were at the malls, and right. So I didn't see this game until way later in life. And
this game is awesome.
It's pretty neat. Everyone's really lanky looking. Like, Spider-Man looks like he's kind of thick around the middle. It's got a weird look, but it's a really unique and cool look. But yeah, it also has Hawkeye. And
it is a beat-em-up that has Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Black Cat, who's badass, and Namor the Submariner as a selectable character, Chris.
Yeah, it is a weird lineup.
All right, we're gonna do it before next May, but we have got to do the Mania beat 'em ups.
Yeah, we do.
We really, really do, because there's just so many. I mean, Ninja Baseball Batman wins, but like we have to see what comes in second.
I played that with my friend. My friend Paul came over the weekend, and he was like, I don't know, let's play something in your arcade cabinet. I was like, you know what? We should try Ninja Baseball Batman. And we played like 2 levels of it, and he had tagged out. He's like, yeah, this isn't doing it for me.
Oh, how dare he? I don't like Paul anymore. I used to love Paul.
It's a wild game, man. I don't think I love it nearly as much as you, but I
don't know that anyone loves it as much as I do, but that's all right.
Probably not even the people who made it.
They probably
this Spider-Man game is cool as hell.
Yeah, I love this Spider-Man game. This was one of my favorites back in the day. And it's a game that I like when thinking about Spider-Man games, I just so often forget about this one.
I think a lot of people do.
I
don't think it had a very big arcade run, because like I said, neither Hamilton Mall or Shore Mall had this game as far as I know. I don't ever remember seeing this game.
Fucking Shore Mall.
It does that super cool thing where, like, I was just watching this the playthrough, and they got to the Venom boss, where the camera panned out really far.
Yeah,
like, that's such a cool effect. Yeah,
it's made by Sega. Like, it's a Sega arcade beat 'em up. That's not a bad time.
Pretty awesome. All right, let's go back to 1981. Let's finish this off in a big sexy way. So 1981, we're talking 2600 and television, arcade, and technically Odyssey 2, but none of those games have any sort of months tacked onto them, so I didn't really do it. Plus, we don't really know Odyssey 2 very well between the two of us. But 2600, talking about some Activision stuff earlier. Big month for 2600, both Freeway and Kaboom.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
I mean, Kaboom is an all-time classic for 2600.
Yeah.
But Freeway, is this the one I think it is? I always get this game mixed up. Freeway 2600. Okay, yeah, this is not the one I was thinking of. What was Freeway then? And what? Oh, I'm thinking of Enduro. That's the other Activision racing game that I always think back on was being super impressive looking. But this one here, Freeway. Oh, this was kind of like this wasn't like that weird take on Frogger, right? Yeah, this is very similar to Frogger. You're this like chicken trying to cross the road. Yeah. This game was pretty neat. Yeah, this game was all right.
Not a great name.
No, not a great name. Not the best.
Kind of buries the lead a little bit.
Not the best Activision game I've ever seen, but it's it's pretty cool. You're trying to race against another chicken trying to get across the street without getting squished by cars.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
It's classic. I gotta love old Activision Atari games. Gotta love Atari games. I wish I was playing Atari right now. Have you played Atari today?
I haven't, actually.
I haven't either. I should have, though. That's another thing I really can't wait to get working. I still haven't done anything with that bit that I ordered, but I want to get my Raspberry Pi working on that arcade cabinet because I just want to play Atari games with an arcade stick.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Well, because so many of them are arcade games.
They are, and they also, like, that was the Atari joystick was just a joystick and a button. So, like, that translates perfectly to that. Like, I can play 2600 games. What is that? I told you I got some of that stuff working for a little bit with my Pi.
Yeah.
And I played Junior Pac-Man, the 2600 version, with the arcade stick, and it was like, oh, this is great. This is what I want to do. Because that game didn't involve the button at all. So I was able to just move Junior around, and that was great. I'll get it up and running one of these days. So yeah, Freeway and Kaboom.
That's a pretty good release.
That's a great Kaboom is so good.
Kaboom is so good. I mean, we both talked about it for our starter kits, and like, I mean, it's just a classic. I mean, overlooked a little bit. I think we kind of realized, but
maybe. I don't know. This seems like one of those games that anybody who knows about Atari at all is like, well, you got to play Kaboom. That's the paddle game. Yeah. Which, I say the paddle game is Circus Atari because, it's hysterical. It's nowhere near as good as Kaboom, but like it's stick figures that get squished when they fall off the little board. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Kaboom is outstanding. Great game. In television, got PBA Bowling.
Woo.
Uh-huh.
Are we excited about that?
I don't know. How was PBA Bowling? I know Tommy
is, but
yeah.
We got to get a weekly dig in at Tommy, I think.
Let's see. PBA Bowling. All right, so it's got a side-scrolling perspective. The visuals are pretty nice, all things considered.
Yeah.
I can imagine this being a pretty impressive sell back in the day, because you compare this to Activision Bowling on 2600. Bowling 2600, and it just wasn't nearly as impressive looking.
Right.
Like the television bowling games got some pretty nice looking animations. Like looking at a screenshot, it's like, all right, I can see how this is more impressive than the Atari one. But I guess the real question is, how does it play? And even the Activision one doesn't look all that impressive. It's kind of neat, though. It's very, very Activision. But yeah, this PBA Bowling for Intellivision was actually a fairly impressive looking thing.
That was kind of Intellivision's deal, right? Like, they had games that looked really good.
I especially in compared to Atari, yeah. Like they were like, check out our sports stuff. Or those George Plimpton commercials from back in the day.
Fucking George Plimpton. That prick.
Pba Bowling.
You know the problems I've been having with George Plimpton.
Yeah, you got some serious ass George Plimpton problems. Anyway, probably the biggest deal in July of 1981 was Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Good old Donkey Kong.
We should do a podcast about that.
We should. We should travel back in time and do it again.
We should.
Yes, Donkey Kong was released in the arcades. What a fucking
good game. Just what a good game. Still to
Still
this
fun
day.
To play. Yep,
yeah, you put somebody in front of Donkey Kong and nobody's going to be like, nah, this sucks. Because it just doesn't.
Might. Some kids might.
No, they wouldn't, though. Like, you give them a couple minutes because even a kid would be like, oh, this is stupid. And then they would die and feel bad, and then they have to play it.
Well, that's the thing.
And then you're in.
They die and like, this is stupid. This isn't Fortnite. I'm leaving. Like, no, you got to get to the top. Come on, you going to let him beat you like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's still fun. It still holds up. It is an absolute blast.
It
looks
is.
great, plays great, sounds great.
It is a masterpiece, and I love it. And it's something I go back to on the arcade cabinet quite often.
Yeah, it's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
It's great. So good.
I still just love that intro where he climbs up and smashes the girders down, and good stuff.
That's fucking awesome. The fucking kaiju game. I mean, like, I'm in. I'm sold right away.
Well, I guess that's it.
Good stuff.
I'm tapped out.
Put a pin in it. Let's go watch the Olympics.
It's donezo. It's late. Right. I'm going to bed. I got Wii Fit to do in the morning.
That's right. I got work to go to. Yay.
Yay. Well, that was fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
A decent month. I mean, it was a July.
Yeah, it was a July. The 91 and 81, I think, were definitely way stronger than 2001 and 2011. Those weren't spectacular, besides, Gran Turismo and Pokemon, but, like, July of 1981, getting, like, one of the all-time classics for 2600 and Donkey Kong in the arcades, it's a pretty solid month for video gaming right there. That's not bad at all.
Bad.
All
before we leave, Chris, I just want to send a special thank you. Again, and I'm going to do it on the podcast so I get credit for it. I got a Facebook message last week from Mr. Matt Much, and he was like, "Can I have your address? I need to send you something." And I was like, "Yeah, totally. That's awesome." And he was like, "Good. I really hope you like it." And I was like, "Dude, you took the time out of your day to get something for me that you thought I would like. I already love it. What kind of monster do you take me for?" But then I opened up, so I got this package on either Thursday or Friday of last week, and I opened it up, and it is an art book for Puzzle and Dragons. And it is a hardcover, like, full-page art book for, like, early Puzzle and Dragons cards and, like, unused sketches for different versions of the characters. And it is just this absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous book that I just love, and was just so touched that he saw it and thought of me and sent it over. And I wanted to make it publicly known that if you don't have a Matt Much in your life, you are missing out. He is a wonderful person, and we are all lucky to know him.
I couldn't possibly agree more. Matt Much is just a goddamn delight.
He is. Salt of the earth, as the kids say.
And salt's important.
It really is gorgeous. It's really, really awesome. I love it. I texted my buddy out in California who plays pad, and he was like, "What the fuck, dude? Tell him to send me one." I was like, no. Can't do it. Can't do it. He was very jealous. It's very awesome. It got, like, I put up a post on Reddit too. I was like, my buddy just sent me this book. It's super cool. And it got, like, 150 upvotes or whatever. Like, it was like the most upvoted post of the day. So, like, Matt got me like internet points as well. He's a wonderful person.
He is. I'm constantly in awe at how wonderful he is. Like, he just sent me a birthday present. He was like, "I'm sorry it's late." I'm like, "You kidding me? Like, you came to my birthday
you
party.
were there.
You didn't need to get me more stuff." And he got me some, like, store credit for the eShop and some super cool NES coasters. Like,
he's the best, man.
it's great.
He's the best. We don't deserve him.
We're
We're pricks.
Well, speaking of not deserving things, I have no way of transitioning that to the end of the show, so I'm just going to say stuff.
See, I would have said, speaking of not deserving things, you don't deserve any more of this podcast, you greedy bastards.
That's how you do it. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Dan.
That's huge. Fat stacks on stacks on stacks. I'm rolling in it over here.
God, that just makes me want Pringles. Anyway,
Sure.
Stacks. Slam a stack of Pringles.
Yeah. Slam a stack of Oreos. We covered the fat bitch part earlier.
That is going to be our show. Join us next week for the next entry in our Stone Age Starters series. This time we're covering the Atari Lynx, a platform that Dan and I are very familiar with. It's going to be a well-informed and thorough show.
I have been researching, Chris. How dare you?
Well, I haven't.
At least you're honest.
But I mean, I have a Lynx and I have a stack of games. I've played the Lynx a handful of times. I find the Lynx fascinating. I just don't have a huge knowledge of its library, but I think I can do pretty well.
Well, you don't have a choice. You have to.
I could just do poorly.
Yeah, well, I suppose that is an option.
I could just show up next week and be awful.
Be like, yeah, I didn't do it.
I did not do my homework. Screw this shit. No, I promise I will put as much thought as I possibly can into the list. But anyways, we're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making this show listenable for all you folks, and we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. Thanks again, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.